93rd minute little, shall we say, mess up that he did, which I called on a minute before. He was unbelievable. He was a giant back there, wasn't he? And he holds the whole team together. But it was a big day. I thought Liverpool would win today. City have been awful. They look beaten. And we'll come on to City as well, but I thought the team selection of Pep Guardiola, I mean, we can say he's a genius, he's amazing, he's one of the greatest managers of all time, and say, I don't think he got it right, without being disrespectful, just an observation. We saw Rico Lewis play in front of Kyle Walker last week against Tottenham, it didn't work. How was Nunez going to work on this left-hand side in a flat midfield four? Again, it didn't work. And he substituted them both after an hour, so it's obvious it didn't work. So there were things that were wrong for City from the very start of the game. I was amazed how they set up.
I've got to congratulate Gary Neville for this, because too many pundits, and we'll show you it later, have not been... You don't have to undo Pep's career, take away his achievements to criticise him in the moment, because he is a genius. But we all saw that starting lineup yesterday. It was horrendous. It was awful. And I still don't think enough pundits, enough journalists, enough of the experts, the so-called experts in the industry we work in, or the industry that we follow as fans, are calling it out enough. It's just going under the radar, and it's infuriating to a lot of people. It really, really is.
But today, Liverpool become huge title favourites.
On Liverpool being huge title favourites, he is absolutely correct, and he's fair play to Neville for saying it. A few weeks ago, though, there was a clip. I tried to find it today. I couldn't find it anywhere, but I saw it where he basically said Liverpool are doing well, but they haven't played anybody. Nobody expects them to win or even be in the title race. And I think this is another moment where we can address the misrepresentation we get from the media, from the professionals, from the pundits about what a rebuild looks like and what a great club structure looks like. Now, a great club structure doesn't mean your owners don't make mistakes, that you don't buy bad players, you don't up ticket prices when you shouldn't, you don't do things wrong. That isn't the same thing. But the reason lots of people called me crazy in the summer when I said that I didn't feel Liverpool did enough to win the title, that I may proven to be wrong about. But I was called crazy for suggesting they could be in the title race. New manager, it's going to take time, it's going to take X, Y. No, it doesn't. Not when your club is structured around a club ideology and not an individual manager. We see this at teams like Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid. They could be struggling, a new manager comes in and bang, they're back to their best. And we think that's because they've got high standards. The standards are high. Every manager knows they've got to deliver or they'll be sacked. No, it's because the head coach is plug and play. Everything else is typically working quite well. It's just a few little elements need fixing. And that is what Liverpool have gone through. So, look, Gary Neville, the only reason I think he got that wrong earlier on in the season is just because he isn't talking about the structure of Liverpool in the right way personally. But they are the outright favourites. There's no doubt about it. But we spoke about City excuses earlier. Listen to Simon Jordan here speak about Manchester City. I want to get your opinions on this.
How have City become such a poor imitation of themselves? And they have.
I think they've had key players out and key leadership groups out of the team. I think clearly De Bruyne, Rodri and Diaz, who's now back, have been severely missed, not just from a playing point of view, but from a leadership point of view. And they've had some challenges that have gotten deeper. Some of the games they've been in, the Porto game was not a 4-1 game.
He means Sporting, by the way.
It was obviously because of the scoreline, but
this is where I've got to stop him. I've got to stop him, though. Firstly, when Arsenal had injuries 2 seasons ago, in the tail end of the title race, no excuses were given. When Liverpool have had injuries in the past, no excuses given. Last season, when Simon Jordan was ripping into Manchester United and ripping into Chelsea, at no point did he address the 13 to 16 members of our squad that were consistently out-injured last season. At no point, ever, was that done. City have 2 to 3 players missing, and it's the front-running excuse that he goes with. But then when he says things like, well, City, it wasn't a 4-1 game to Sporting. Yes, it was a 4-1 game to Sporting. City could have scored earlier. But it's an element that the media are not addressing. They're talking about Rodri being missing. They're talking Diaz being out, who, by the way, had a stinker himself yesterday. Nobody is talking about Grealish, who's gone almost 12 months, no goals. Savio, not scored. Doku, all the gear, but no idea. There's no end product from him at the moment. Foden, having a stinker upon all stinkers of seasons. This is ignored. Is it the players are not good enough? It could be that the recruitment's bad and you can call that out. It might be Pep is losing a grip of things. Now, I'm suggesting examples of what it could be. But all we are hearing is, they haven't been that bad in certain games. And do you know what? That game was really close and they've had some players out injured. For me, it's a mockery. Genuinely, it's an absolute mockery, in my humble opinion, to hear that kind of analysis.
You were in those games, but in the last couple of games, they've been very soundly beaten. Soundly beaten by Tottenham Hotspur and soundly beaten by Liverpool.
But do you know why that is, Simon? It's because in the previous, even matches they were winning, the previous 7, 8, 9 games, the performances were getting worse and worse and worse. And at no point has anybody called out the performances. It's just, it's a game, it'll be okay. And it's all been ignored. Now, it's kind of come to a head. And we're looking at this mess and people are going, it must just be the injuries. No, it is so deeper than that. It's unbelievable. To continue with Simon Jordan, though, take a listen to what he said here about Liverpool fans. Just take a little listen of what you've done.
What did you think, Simon? Did you see it? I mean...
Yeah, I did, yeah. I didn't think it was the same as Mourinho because Mourinho was attacking the media. Mourinho was reminding the media.
No, Jose Mourinho has signalled to the media and fans at different occasions. You're looking at one exact example and getting it wrong there.
Media of his achievements because he felt that the press conferences and the manner in which the questions were being posed to him were disrespectful. There is an element of the Liverpool fan base that's one of the most ungracious fan bases when it comes to giving respect to other football clubs or
based
other football
on what? Ungracious?
Well, based upon the fact they hate losing. We had a call.
Who doesn't hate losing? Who doesn't hate losing?
Last week with a caller that came in that spent his entire time telling me at full pelt, that I had attributed no glory to Liverpool because about 8 weeks ago I'd said they haven't beaten anyone yet, which, by the way, 8 weeks ago they really hadn't. Running the same argument now, and having had my team go up there under my ownership, and every time we played Liverpool, you got a result at Liverpool, their fans were bloody awful. Didn't like you celebrating goals, didn't like you doing anything. And the director's box was told to sit down when we beat them 2-0 in the FA Cup by their stewards because they didn't think it was appropriate that we celebrated a goal, even though they can celebrate what they want. So I think there's an element of I thought Guardiola's reaction was fine.
I ain't really got an issue with what Guardiola did, but the way Simon Jordan here is attacking Liverpool fans for having a bit of banter. And I'm going to defend Liverpool fans here the same way as I did when Arsenal supporters have been called out in the last year or two for over-celebrating. They were having some fun. For the first time ever, really, people have been able to have a pop at Pep, really criticise him. And more importantly, and this is always good, away from analysis, is a bit of banter and a bit of fun. But what Simon Jordan does here, and I do notice this when it comes to City, and I'm not sure what it is, maybe not with their off-the-field antics, but when it comes to what they do on the football pitch, there seems to be this consistent approach to never want to criticise Pep or never want to join in any fun against him. It's defend, 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 defend. I'm not too sure what it is and why, but hearing him say this, I thought, ironically, was very ungracious towards Liverpool, who do everything in their power to intimidate the teams that they play against to win football matches. That is what home supporters should do. Unless it gets violent, that should never be the case. There's nothing that they have done wrong. But the excuses that you've heard for Pep Guardiola here is absolutely crazy in my humble opinion. Now, speaking of staying humble, I want to play this video for you. This video is hilarious, but there's a serious notion to it. Take a little listen to this.
When Erling Haaland thought he'd serve Mikel Arteta a slice of humble pie with his cheeky, "Stay humble, eh?" It was meant to rub salt in the wound. But oh, how the tables have turned. Fast forward 2 months, and it's Haaland who's now eating a slice of humble pie, cold and bitter. The Norwegian finds himself going through the most humble spell of his career. Let's talk numbers. Since that infamous quip, Haaland has managed just 2 goals from 36 shots in his last 7 Premier League matches, a striking underperformance compared to his usual standards. Haaland has been significantly underperforming his XG, suggesting the clinical edge that once defined him is, for now, as elusive as City's recent victories. Take the game against Tottenham Hotspur. Haaland had 7 shots without success, and Manchester City succumbed to a humiliating 4-0 defeat at the Etihad. His struggles mirror Manchester City's broader slump.
And they really do. And what I find hilarious about it is ever since he said, "Stay humble," Haaland scored 2 goals in the Premier League. I think, as I said, he's had something like I think he's now had, after the Liverpool game, I'm just checking it now, How many did he have? He had 2. So he's had basically 40 shots and scored 2 goals. City have barely won a football match. Their performances have been awful. And it just went through my head today that Arsenal broke City and Liverpool have now killed them. It's just, if they don't turn this season around, this stay humble meme, I think could go down to be as infamous and as readily available as Kevin Keegan when he said, I would love it if we beat them, all the way back in the 90s. As hilarious as the famous fact speech from Rafa Benitez. So from this game, Arsenal have broken this Manchester City team. But what Liverpool have done to them on top is annihilated them, disapparated them, killed them, turned them into dust with the snap of their fingers. Their aura is gone. Their ability is dissipated. The manager is struggling. The media are giving them excuses all over the place. Can they turn it round in the medium to long term? Of course they can. They're a well-structured football club. But right now, for this season, Arsenal broke them. And Liverpool have absolutely killed them.